School safety. It's something, that's on everyone's mind these days, right?
Right.
And, you've sent us some really interesting stuff about this, especially about Samscloud. And you know how they think about school safety?
Mm-hmm.
They put together this white paper all about how technology can, play a role. And that's kind of what we're going to dive into today.
Okay.
But it's not, about Samscloud. We're going to look at the bigger picture, What are the challenges schools are dealing with? Everything from bullying and like unauthorized access to even, those unthinkable things, active shooter situations.
Right.
So let's unpack all of this and see what we can learn.
Yeah, this white paper, it's really fascinating, how Samscloud kind of frames the whole problem, right?
Yeah.
They list out all these challenges schools face. It's pretty comprehensive,
Yeah.
things like, bullying, unauthorized access, and like what happens when something does happen, communication breakdowns, even just a lack of preparation for emergencies. Plus, obviously the ever-present concern about an active shooter situation.
Right.
And all of this is happening while schools are dealing with limited resources,
Yeah, and it's pretty sobering, when you look at it all laid out like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's something that every parent, every teacher, every student can relate to on some level.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We've all seen the headlines, those stories that just, hit a little too close to home.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you've got Alyssa's Law, which kind of adds another layer of complexity to the whole thing.
Yeah, Alyssa's Law, it's crucial to this whole discussion.
Yeah.
It basically says that schools, they have to have a panic alarm system, right? To make sure they can respond as quickly as possible to emergencies.
Oh, okay.
It's named after Alyssa Alhadeff. She was a victim of the Parkland shooting.
Right.
And it really highlights how important it is for schools to be prepared, for anything.
Well, it's heartbreaking, but it really does, it underscores the urgency of this whole issue, right?
Yeah.
So where does Samscloud, where do they fit into all of this?
Well, Samscloud is really trying to position itself as a leader in this space,
Okay.
using technology, to address these school safety challenges.
Mm-hmm.
They offer this platform with some pretty cutting edge features, things like geofencing, real-time incident reporting, advanced surveillance integration, which, includes facial recognition.
Wow.
And even something called predictive analytics.
Predictive analytics.
All of this is about creating a safer learning environment.
Predictive analytics. Okay, now that sounds like something straight out of Minority Report,
Yeah.
But seriously, how does that even work in a school?
Think about it like this, okay?
All right.
Samscloud uses data analysis to try and spot patterns, potential threats even before they happen.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of like how Netflix suggests movies based on what you've watched, right? Yeah. But instead of movies, it's flagging potential security risks based on, different factors. Hey. They've actually had success with this in other places. Like in Houston, residents use this kind of predictive analysis to stay safe during a crime surge.
Wow, that's pretty mind-blowing, honestly.
It is.
Let's back up a little bit, though, and break down some of these other features, a little more what exactly is geofencing?
Imagine an invisible fence, for a dog, but for a whole school campus.
Oh.
So Samscloud's geofencing technology, it creates these virtual boundaries, around the school. Mm-hmm. So if someone who's not supposed to be there tries to cross those boundaries, like someone trying to get onto the school grounds after hours, alerts go off immediately.
Okay.
Actually, the white paper, it mentions this middle school in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
They saw a huge drop in unauthorized access after they put this in place.
So it's about being, proactive. Right.
Exactly.
Stopping trouble before it even starts.
Right.
What about real-time incident reporting? How does that work? And why is it so important?
It all boils down to speed. We know that in any emergency, every second counts.
Yeah.
So Samscloud's platform, it lets staff and students report anything that's happening, instantly through a panic button system.
Oh, okay.
This not only helps schools comply with Alyssa's Law, by making sure there's a quick response, but it also means they can coordinate that response much more effectively no matter what the incident is.
This all sounds incredibly important, especially when you think about what we've seen happening in schools recently.
Yeah.
I mean, just last week there was that incident at a high school in California where...
Right. And that's a perfect example of why having that real-time reporting is so crucial.
Yeah.
The faster you can respond, the better your chances are of, stopping a bad situation from getting worse and keeping everyone safe.
Now, let's talk about the advanced surveillance integration,
Okay.
specifically the facial recognition.
Right.
This is where things get a little Big Brother-ish.
It can feel that way, yeah. It's a sensitive topic.
Yeah.
But the way Samscloud approaches it is they integrate with the school's existing CCTV systems, and they use facial recognition to try to identify, individuals on campus.
Oh, okay.
The idea is to help track their movements and, potentially spot anyone who's not supposed to be there.
Facial recognition, though, I mean, there are obvious privacy concerns with that kind of technology, right?
Yeah.
It feels like we're stepping into some ethically murky territory.
You're absolutely right. There's this delicate balance between security and individual rights. It's something that requires careful thought.
Yeah.
But Samscloud also uses object recognition, which can be used to, detect potentially dangerous objects in the surveillance footage.
Oh.
Things like firearms, and in the right context, that could be incredibly valuable.
Yeah, I can definitely see how that could potentially prevent a tragedy.
Right.
So it seems like Samscloud is trying to cover all the bases when it comes to school safety. But are they really?
They are. They are certainly aiming for a comprehensive approach.
Okay.
And it's worth noting that they're not just, throwing technology at the problem.
Yeah.
They talk about communication, emergency preparedness, and making sure schools are following all the regulations, things like Alyssa's Law.
So they're not just selling a product.
Yeah.
They're promoting a whole philosophy of school safety.
That's right. And a big part of that is recognizing that technology is just one piece of the puzzle.
Okay.
They highlight the importance of things like well-trained staff, clear safety protocols, and just, a general culture of vigilance within the school community.
Right.
Technology can help with all of that, but it can't replace the human element.
So it sounds like finding that balance between technology and human awareness is key.
Absolutely. And I think that's a good place to pause for now.
Okay.
We've covered a lot of ground, from the challenges schools are facing to how Samscloud is trying to address them with technology.
Right.
But there's still a lot more to explore.
This is where it gets really interesting. Stay with us because in part 2, we're going to delve even deeper into Samscloud's approach. And we're going to start looking at the bigger picture of where all of this is headed.
One thing that really struck me, as we were going through all this stuff, is that Samscloud's vision, it goes beyond just schools. They're looking at multi-residential properties.
Okay.
And churches, too. It seems like they're taking this idea of a comprehensive security ecosystem and applying it to, all kinds of places where safety is top priority.
That's right. And it makes sense when you think about it,
Yeah.
right? The need for security, it's not limited to just schools,
Right.
It's relevant everywhere.
Right. Yeah.
What's interesting to me is how they're taking these core principles, that proactive approach, the focus on real-time response, and the emphasis on community involvement.
Yeah.
And they're adapting it to all these different contexts.
It's a smart move, from a business perspective.
Yeah.
But it also kind of shows a broader understanding of the challenges involved, right? When you break it down, what are the things that connect, school safety to the security needs of I don't know, an apartment complex or a church?
Well, on a fundamental level, I think it's about providing a safe and secure environment, right?
Right.
For the people inside, whether it's students or residents or, worshipers, the goal is the same.
Exactly. Protecting people, wherever they are, whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
And that's where Samscloud's approach, it gets really interesting, right? They're not just selling individual pieces of technology. They're offering a whole philosophy of safety that can be, applied to different situations.
So it's not just about the tech itself.
Right.
But how that tech is integrated into a bigger strategy for creating safer spaces.
Exactly. And that's where the human element comes back in, right? Technology can do a lot, but it can't do everything. It's the people, the communities that ultimately determine how effective these measures are going to be.
So it's about empowering people to take an active role in their own safety.
Yeah.
And the safety of those around them.
Absolutely. And that's something that Samscloud seems to get,
Yeah.
They talk a lot about building a culture of safety and awareness.
Okay.
Not just, installing alarms and cameras.
They're saying, here are the tools,
Right.
but it's up to you to use them wisely.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And it kind of brings us back to those ethical considerations, we talked about earlier.
Right.
Because with these, powerful technologies comes a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
We have to make sure that they're being used in a way that benefits everyone, and doesn't infringe on individual rights.
It's a crucial point. We can't just blindly adopt new technologies without thinking about, the potential downsides.
I completely agree. We need to be having open and honest conversations about where the line is between security and privacy. And we need to make sure these technologies are implemented in a way that respects everyone's freedoms.
It's a complex issue. There are no easy answers, but it's a conversation we need to be having.
Definitely. And in a way, Samscloud is kind of helping to push that conversation forward,
It's interesting, how this whole deep dive has taken us beyond just like the specifics of school safety and into these like broader questions about technology and society.
Right.
The balance between security and privacy.
Yeah.
And even the ethical implications of it all. It's fascinating stuff.
It really shows how interconnected all these issues are. We can't really talk about school safety without talking about the role technology plays in all our lives, right? And we can't talk about technology without considering the ethical dilemmas that come with it.
It's a lot to process.
It is.
But it's an important discussion to have.
Absolutely. And it's not just for, policymakers and tech companies to figure out. This is something we all need to be thinking about.
Yeah.
Parents, educators, students, community members, everyone.
It's about taking ownership, right, of our collective safety and figuring out how to navigate this world where technology is like constantly evolving.
Exactly. And that brings us back to, Samscloud's vision of a safer future.
Yeah.
What does that future look like to you?
For me, a truly safer future is one where technology is used responsibly and ethically.
Yeah.
To enhance our security without compromising our values or our freedom.
I think that's a great way to put it. It's about finding that balance, right?
Yeah.
Where technology and human judgment, they work together to create a more secure and just world.
It's a delicate balance, but it's one worth striving for, As we're talking, I can't help but think of that Spider-Man quote, with great power comes great responsibility.
Oh, yeah.
Seems pretty relevant here.
I like that analogy. It reminds us that as a society, we have a responsibility to use these powerful technologies in a way that benefits everyone.
We can't just sit back and let technology like dictate the terms of our lives, right?
Right.
We need to be active participants in shaping the future we want to see.
I couldn't agree more. And education and awareness are key to making that happen,
Right.
We need to equip ourselves with the knowledge and the critical thinking skills to make informed decisions about how technology is being used in our lives.
It's about empowering people, right? To be informed and engaged citizens who can navigate the complexities of this rapidly changing world.
Well said. And I think that's what Samscloud is trying to do. In a way, their focus might be on security, but their efforts, they touch upon these larger themes of education and empowerment.
It's like they're saying, we're not just giving you solutions.
Right.
We're inviting you to be part of the conversation about building a safer and more secure future.
That's a powerful message.
Yeah.
And it goes way beyond just school safety. It's about our shared responsibility to create a better world for ourselves and for, future generations.
That's a great point. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up part 2 of our deep dive.
Indeed. Join us again for part 3, where we'll explore the implications of everything we've discussed.
Okay.
And what it all means for you, our listener.
All right, so we're back for the final part of our deep dive into school safety and Samscloud. It's been a long journey.
Yeah.
But a really, really thought-provoking one.
Yeah, it really has. We've gone from looking at like the actual nuts and bolts of Samscloud's technology to like some really big questions, about technology's place in society and the balance between security and privacy and even like the ethical side of it all.
It is. It's fascinating stuff.
It is. It is.
But I kind of want to bring it back to our listener now. What does all this mean for them? Like, what are the key takeaways from this whole deep dive?
For me, the biggest takeaway is that, school safety and really security in general, it's not just about, gadgets and policies.
Right.
It's about creating this culture of of awareness, responsibility, being proactive.
So it's not just on schools to figure this out.
Yeah.
It's on all of us, right?
Exactly.
Parents, teachers,
Yeah.
students, community members, everyone. We all need to be, having these open and honest conversations about the challenges, the technologies, and the ethical questions involved, right? We have to make informed choices, both individually and as communities, about how we want to approach security in the future. So Samscloud is just one piece of a much bigger puzzle.
Exactly. They offer a particular set of tools and a particular approach, but the underlying principles, the things they're emphasizing, like being proactive, communication, community involvement, those are universal, right? We need to be thinking about those things, whether we're talking about schools or homes or workplaces or, public spaces.
It's about understanding that security is a shared responsibility. We all have a stake in creating safer environments.
Well said. And I think that's a powerful message to leave with our listener.
It really is. So to wrap things up, if you're listening to this, we encourage you to learn more about Samscloud and the work they're doing.
But even more importantly, start a conversation in your own community, about school safety, about security, and about technology's place in all of this. What are your concerns? What are your ideas,
Right.
Get involved in the discussion.
Yeah, the future of security, it's not something that just happens to us. It's something that we all have a hand in shaping.
That's a great point to end on. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We'll be back soon to explore another fascinating topic.
Until then, stay curious, stay engaged, and stay safe.